Welcome to Gyu Jung's channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you'll never miss our heartfelt journeys of love, hope, and perseverance.
Today, we continue following the journey of Sunluen and CEO James, two people from completely different worlds, yet connected by an unexpected bond. Despite the distance, the judgments, and the challenges life placed before them, they chose to believe in love, a love strong enough to break every barrier. Join us as we follow their touching story, a reminder that when the heart chooses love, nothing is impossible. As the chill of early winter settles over the land, both James and Sunluen find themselves wrapped in quiet, reflective moments, hearts heavy with longing. The wind outside whispers through the trees, carrying with it a faint reminder of the distance that separates them. James stands silently by the window, his hands resting lightly on the frame, as he gazes at the gray clouds slowly gathering in the sky. Each heavy puff seems to echo the weight in his chest. In the stillness of the room, his mind drifts to her, to the soft curve of her smile, the way her eyes light up when she laughs. His heart is full of questions, words that remain unspoken. What is she doing at this very moment? Is she warm enough? Has she eaten? Does she think of me as I think of her? Outside, far away in the quiet mountains, Sunluen sits alone at the old wooden table in her small hut. The air is crisp and cool. Mist swirls gently around the edges of the roof, curling through the open windows like playful spirits. She hugs herself slightly, feeling the cold brush against her skin, but her mind is warm with thoughts of him. Her eyes are distant, unfocused, yet bright with longing. She closes them for a moment and imagines him standing there, just across the distance, looking back at her. In that brief silence, the world shrinks, leaving only the connection between their hearts. A soft sigh escapes her lips, a mixture of hope and worry. Is he tired from his journey? Is he cold like I feel? Does he miss me, even a little, as I miss him so deeply? No voice carries these questions, and no footsteps cross the distance between them. And yet, in the quiet, their hearts reach across valleys, forests, and hills, seeking one another with a patience and intensity that words could never capture. Time stretches gently, moments lingering like the soft mist around her hut. And though the mountains separate them, the silent bond between them feels unbreakable. Each heartbeat whispers into the vast distance, I am here. I am thinking of you. I am waiting. Even in silence, they are together. Even in separation, they are not alone. And in this quiet longing, a story of patience, love, and hope unfolds, minute by minute, breath by breath, as the cold wind passes through the world outside.
Early in the morning, Sunluen straps a woven basket to her back and holds a long bamboo pole as she steps into the lush garden. The forest is peaceful, only birds singing and leaves rustling. She gazes up at the clusters of green umbrella fruits hanging high above her. Her movements are gentle and careful, lifting the pole, hooking the branch, pressing the cutter, snap, and letting the fruits drop softly into her basket. The camera captures everything closely. Sweat on her brow, her focused eyes, her steady breaths blending with the morning air. In the calm quiet of the forest, she works patiently, gracefully, like the mountains themselves have raised her.
On a narrow, winding mountain road, James walks carefully, each step measured. The cold wind brushes his face, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and pine. His mind drifts to Sunluen, her gentle smile, the warmth in her eyes, the thought of her waiting somewhere ahead. His heart tightens with longing, and yet he moves forward, step by step. Suddenly, he freezes. A massive landslide blocks the entire road. Red earth, broken stones, and heavy boulders lie scattered everywhere, the path impassable. Tiny fragments of soil still tumble from above, as if the mountain itself is warning him of the danger. James pauses, looking up at the cliff. He lets out a slow, quiet sigh. His company will eventually repair this road, but that doesn't matter now. There is only one thing that matters: reaching her. He bends slightly, tests each foothold, and begins to climb over the unstable pile of rocks. His hands grip firmly, and every movement is careful. The stones shift beneath him, sending tremors through his arms, but his determination does not waver. I must see her. I have to reach her. Step by step, he climbs. The wind whistles through the pass, rustling loose gravel and stirring the scent of damp earth. His heart pounds, each beat echoing the urgency and longing he feels. Though the path is treacherous and uncertain, he does not stop. Danger surrounds him, yet the thought of her keeps him steady, moving forward with patience, courage, and hope.
Back to Sunluen. Her basket is nearly full, yet she doesn't stop. She carefully reaches for the last clusters of ambarella fruits, her hands moving with practiced precision. Each fruit she picks, each gentle tug of the pole, is a quiet testament to her patience and dedication. The morning light filters softly through the leaves, casting dappled patterns on her hair and shoulders. She pauses for a moment, wiping a bead of sweat from her forehead, then smiles faintly, satisfied with her morning's work. Now, with the basket heavy on her back, she begins the long walk down the narrow concrete paths that wind through the village. Her small shadow stretches long beneath the rising sun, dancing over the cracks in the path with each step she takes. The air is cool, filled with the scent of damp earth, pine, and distant smoke from morning fires. Birds call softly from the trees, and the faint rustle of leaves keeps time with her steady pace. Each step is deliberate. The weight of the basket tugs at her shoulders, yet she moves with a quiet resilience, shifting her balance carefully to prevent slipping. The morning sun warms her face, but the exertion makes her cheeks flush. She breathes in rhythm with her steps, a steady, calming rhythm that guides her down the path. Every sound around her, the soft crunch of gravel beneath her feet, the gentle swish of her clothes against the basket, the distant murmur of the village waking up, blends together into a serene symphony. It's as if the world itself is acknowledging her effort, celebrating her diligence in this peaceful rural morning. Sungluen's face is calm, her eyes focused ahead, yet there's a softness there too, a quiet contentment in completing her task. Every movement she makes shows not just the physical effort, but the strength of her spirit. The gentle sway of the basket with each step mirrors her unwavering determination. She navigates small obstacles along the path, loose stones, narrow corners, tiny puddles from last night's rain, without haste, careful to keep her pace steady. The village gradually comes into view. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys, chickens wander in the yard, and the distant sound of a bell signals the start of the day. Yet Sunluen walks on, focused, her back strong under the weight, her mind alert yet serene. Her every breath and every step speak of her quiet endurance, her humility, and her connection to the simple life around her. With the final stretch ahead, she lifts her head slightly,
taking in the sight of familiar houses and pathways. The journey is long, the basket heavy, but the rhythm of her walk, the steadiness of her breath, and the resolve in her heart carry her forward. Each step, each sway of the basket, each small adjustment of her shoulders tell the story of a girl who works hard, yet moves with grace, dignity, and an unwavering spirit.
At the gate of a small home, she meets a middle-aged woman waiting for her. They greet each other with warm smiles, the kind only village life can offer. The woman compliments the fresh fruits and happily agrees to buy them all. They place the basket onto the scale, exactly 10 kilograms. No bargaining, no rushing, just a fair trade, a grateful smile, and the gentle simplicity of rural life. After selling all the fruits, Sunluen lifts her empty basket onto her back and begins the climb back up the familiar mountain path. The air has grown colder now. A crisp wind snakes through the trees, tugging at her hair and brushing against her cheeks. Each step is measured, careful, as the uneven stones press against her feet. The forest is quiet, almost holding its breath with her, as if watching her journey home. She reaches the small hut nestled among the trees, the leaves swaying gently around it. Setting the basket down, she slowly lowers herself onto the old wooden chair that has supported her many times before. The silence of the forest wraps around her like a soft blanket. Only the wind and the faint rustle of leaves keep her company. Resting her chin in her hands, her eyes drift far into the distance, heavy with longing. Her thoughts wander to James, the one she misses so dearly. A soft whisper escapes her lips. "Why hasn't he come yet? Is he busy today?" The moments stretch, each second lingering longer than the last. The waiting weighs on her chest, a gentle ache that mixes with hope and worry. Her heart beats slowly, echoing the rhythm of the rustling leaves, and for a moment, time seems to pause, allowing her to sit in the quiet ache of missing him, longing for his presence, and hoping he is on his way.
Then, suddenly, footsteps. James appears from the winding path, carrying a bag of fresh watermelon in one hand and another bag of groceries in the other. The sunlight catches on the edges of the leaves, casting dappled shadows over his face, and in that moment, Sunluen feels her heart skip a beat. He calls softly, almost hesitantly, yet with a warmth that travels straight to her heart. Ko Luyen. Startled, she turns around, her eyes widen for a brief moment, and then, as if the weight of her longing lifts, she breaks into the brightest, most genuine smile she has worn all day. Joy floods her face instantly, her cheeks warming in the soft light of the afternoon. James slows his steps as he approaches her, noticing the soft flutter of her heartbeat beneath her calm exterior. He asks gently what she's been doing, his voice carrying a mix of curiosity and care. She blushes, looking down for a moment, then murmurs that she's just been sitting. Yet the truth hangs quietly between them. She's been missing him deeply. Without another word, he steps closer and wraps his arms around her in a warm, encompassing embrace. Days of separation, of longing, of quiet, aching hope all dissolve in an instant. The world seems to fade around them. Then, with a playful grin,
He lifts her slightly off the ground and spins her in a gentle circle. Laughter bubbles up from both of them, rich and unrestrained, filling the air with warmth and life. Pulling her close again, he reaches into his bag and takes out a thick winter coat, clean, soft, and warm. He speaks softly, his words gentle yet filled with concern. "You forgot this last time. I washed it for you." Gently, he helps her slip into the coat, zipping it up carefully, adjusting the collar so it sits just right against her neck. His eyes scan her face, searching for any sign of discomfort. His voice carries the subtle tremor of worry. "It's windy today. I don't want you to get sick." She touches the coat, feeling the softness and warmth against her skin. A shy smile curves her lips, and she whispers, "It's warm, very warm." But it's not just the coat that is warm. It's his care, his thoughtfulness, the love that radiates from every gesture. In that embrace, amidst the soft laughter and gentle touches, she feels safe, cherished, and deeply seen.
James places the watermelon on the wooden table with gentle care, as if he's setting down a gift meant only for the two of them. He wipes the surface lightly, then pulls out a small knife from his bag. For a moment, he simply stands there, breathing in the forest air, letting the quiet settle around them. Then, with a slow and steady motion, he presses the blade into the thick green rind. A soft crack echoes, breaking the calm in the most delicate way. He slides the knife along the surface, creating a long, clean line. And when he pulls the two halves apart, a burst of vivid red appears, bright, fresh, filled with shimmering drops of sweet juice. The scent of the watermelon, cool and sugary, rises up instantly. It blends with the misty mountain breeze, creating a sweetness that seems to drift through the quiet hut. Luyen watches closely, her eyes glowing with a warmth she rarely shows to anyone else. The moment the inside of the fruit reveals itself, she lets out a small laugh, soft, innocent, almost musical. James looks up with a gentle pride, as if her happiness alone has rewarded every step of his long journey. He slices the watermelon into thick pieces. The juice drips down the blade and onto the table, forming little ruby-colored beads on the wood. He picks up a slice and hands it to her with both hands. Careful, respectful, full of affection. She takes it, her cold fingers brushing lightly against his warm palm. The contrast makes her blush just a little. She takes one bite, and the sweetness bursts across her lips. It's really sweet," she says in a shy voice. James smiles back, his eyes soft enough to melt stone. He takes a piece for himself, but before eating, he notices juice running down her fingers. Without a word, he reaches for a tissue and wipes her hand gently. His touch, warm, slow, attentive. That one simple gesture, that tiny moment, fills her chest with a gentle heat she can't describe. They sit close together, shoulders touching, not pushing, not forcing, just naturally leaning toward one another, as if their bodies know the distance between them should be none. Their conversation begins quietly, like a stream flowing across smooth stones. James tells her about the road he took, how the wind was so strong it kept pushing against him, how the cold bit into his face, and how the landslide forced him to climb over unstable rocks, and how he kept thinking, step after step, "I have to reach her.
I have to see her today." She listens with full attention, occasionally glancing at him with worry swelling in her eyes. She didn't know he went through so much. She didn't know the journey would be that hard. And hearing it now makes her heart tighten with both sadness and gratitude. Then it's her turn. She tells him about waking up before sunrise, shivering slightly as she stepped outside, carrying her empty basket into the orchard. She describes the quiet morning fog, the smell of wet leaves, and how the dew soaked the bottom of her clothes. She spoke about climbing tree roots, stretching her arm with the long bamboo pole, cutting each cluster of cuck fruit with care. And then she smiles brightly, while telling him how happy she felt when a woman bought all 10 kilos at once. She looks down for a moment and admits in a small voice, "After I sold everything, I walked home early because I wanted more time to wait for you." James freezes for half a second. Then he breaks into a quiet, heartfelt smile that says everything he's feeling without a single word. They sit there, eating watermelon in gentle silence for a moment. The type of silence that feels safe, soft, peaceful, where breathing alone is enough to feel connected.
Today, we follow Sunluen once again. Early in the morning, the path leading to her little tomato garden is still covered in a soft layer of mist. She continues her daily routine, harvesting tomatoes to sell, doing everything she can to support herself and her young child. Life has never been easy, yet there is a quiet strength within her, a gentle light that never fades. As she reaches the garden, the rows of tomato plants greet her with their vibrant red colors. Birds chirp softly in the trees above, as if offering her a bit of encouragement. Luyen bends down, her hands steady and careful, lifting each ripe tomato with tenderness. She chooses only the brightest, reddest ones, treating them as though they were little pieces of hope she is gathering for her family. One by one, the tomatoes fall gently into her old bamboo basket, the same basket that has been with her for years, witnessing her struggles, her silent tears, and her determination to build a better future for her child. What she doesn't know is that today will bring something unexpected. In the distance, a figure begins walking toward the garden. The steps are soft but hurried, carrying a sense of purpose. Luyen continues her work, unaware that just moments from now, her life is about to shift toward warmth, toward kindness, toward something she has long hoped for. And so, in the calm of the morning light, Sunluen's quiet yet emotional story continues to unfold.
In the middle of the crowded, noisy city, James finds himself thinking about Sunluen again. The rushing cars and the busy streets slowly fade into the background, leaving only her image in his mind. He wonders, what is she doing at this very moment? Is she tired or smiling softly in her tomato garden? Suddenly, the feeling of longing washes over him, stronger than the horns and lights around him. It makes him pause for a moment, letting out a quiet sigh, because even here, in the heart of the city, his heart still belongs to her.
In the quiet tomato garden, Sunluen has finally filled her bamboo basket. She carefully adjusts each tomato, making sure none of them will fall out on the way. Looking at the bright red harvest, she smiles, a small smile filled with hope. Today, she prays she can sell all of these tomatoes at the market so she can earn a little more to care for her child and keep their life going. After securing the basket on her back, Luyen begins her walk. The narrow path slowly leads her toward the town's marketplace, where shops line the streets and people move busily in every direction. And deep in her heart, she believes, today just might be a good day. When she arrives at the market, Sunluen chooses a small spot by the roadside, a place where many people often pass by. She gently sets down her bamboo basket and carefully pours out the bright red tomatoes she harvested that morning. Once again, she arranges them neatly into small rounded piles so anyone walking by can immediately see their freshness and beauty. Sitting down, hands resting on her knees, she watches the flow of people moving past. In her heart, she carries one simple hope: that kind customers will stop and help her by buying the tomatoes she worked so hard to gather today. Time passes slowly. The sun grows warmer, and a light breeze drifts through the busy street, carrying the scent of the morning. She waits, her eyes calm but tinged with worry. Then, finally, a gentle-looking woman approaches. The woman pauses, takes a good look at the tomatoes, and smiles softly. "Can I buy a few kilos?" That one sentence feels like a small miracle. Luyen quickly stands up, selecting the freshest tomatoes and placing them carefully into a bag. The woman pays her, thanks her, and walks away. A warm smile spreads across Luyen's face, as bright as the morning sun breaking through the clouds. Not long after, a man passing by stops to buy some tomatoes too. Then another person comes, and then another. Each time someone bends down to choose a few tomatoes, her hope grows a little more. As time goes on, the piles of tomatoes in front of her slowly shrink, bit by bit, until finally only the empty bamboo basket remains. When the last customer leaves, Sunluen looks into her empty basket and lets out a relieved breath. Everything she worked so hard to harvest since dawn has finally been sold. A quiet but deep joy fills her heart. Her effort, her patience, her sweat, and the hope she carried with her have all been rewarded today. As Sunluen stands by the roadside, getting ready to head home, James suddenly appears and finds her. The moment he sees her, he walks quickly toward her, gently takes the bamboo basket, and lifts it onto his own back. He holds her hand, his eyes filled with longing, and softly guides her toward his motorbike. On the way home, the two talk warmly, sharing how much they've missed each other during the days apart. Their words are simple, but filled with tenderness, gently closing the distance their hearts had endured for so long.
On their way back, the two decide to stop at a small roadside restaurant for lunch. The place is simple, with an old metal roof and wooden tables, but to them, it feels peaceful, almost perfect. They choose a small table by the window, where they can watch people passing by outside. While waiting for their food and drinks, they begin to open up to each other. James places his hand on the table, And naturally, Sunluen sets her small hand into his. Their fingers intertwine softly, as if they've been waiting for this moment far too long. They talk about the days they spent apart, the sleepless nights filled with longing, and the quiet worries that the other might be struggling alone. Their eyes meet, warm, gentle, full of affection. In that simple moment, it feels as if the world has grown quiet, leaving only the steady closeness of two hearts finding their way back home. When the food finally arrives, warm dishes and cold drinks, they eat together with a joy they've been longing for. Every smile, every small laugh, every shared glance fills the space between them with love. Even the ordinary meal becomes something special. After finishing their lunch, while they sit resting for a moment, James suddenly looks into her eyes and speaks softly. "Today, I want to take you to try on a wedding dress." Sunluen freezes, her eyes widening in surprise. She thinks she must have misheard him, so she asks quietly, Are you joking?" James shakes his head gently, squeezing her hand with tenderness. "No, I'm serious. I've wanted this for a very long time. I want to see you in a wedding dress, and I want to know if you would agree to become my wife." In that moment, her face lights up. A bright, genuine smile spreads across her lips. Tears shimmer at the corners of her eyes, but they're tears of happiness, pure and overflowing. I agree," she whispers, her heart dancing with joy. And just like that, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, the dream they had both silently carried becomes real. A new chapter awaits them, one filled with love, family, and the future they've long hoped for.
After leaving the restaurant, the two of them head to a wedding dress shop in town. The bright sign at the entrance and the elegant white dresses displayed behind the glass make Sunluen's heart flutter. She never imagined she would one day step into a place like this, yet today, the dream she once thought impossible is becoming real. Inside, warm lights shine gently over rows of wedding gowns, sparkling ball gowns, delicate lace dresses, elegant, simple designs that capture the eye. Sunluen walks slowly, her gaze filled with wonder and emotion. She reaches out and touches a soft white dress, smiling gently. This was something she had always dreamed of wearing at least once in her life, a wedding dress meant for her special day. And today, that dream finally comes true. After a while, she stops in front of the gown that makes her heart skip, a soft, graceful dress with gentle lace tracing along the waist. "I'd like to try this one," she says, her voice glowing with happiness. The staff guides her into the fitting room, and once she puts on the dress, they begin to do her makeup, making her look radiant. The makeup artist works with delicate care, as if she's tending to a precious flower. A soft layer of powder to smooth her skin, a thin line of eyeliner to highlight her gentle eyes, a touch of rosy lipstick to brighten her smile. Sunluen was already naturally beautiful, but under the careful hands of the stylist, her beauty glows even more, soft, bright, and pure. And it's not just her appearance. Her kindness, her gentle heart make her shine in a way no makeup ever could. While James waits outside, feeling more nervous than he ever expected, he checks his watch, then looks toward the closed door again. He wonders, what will my future bride look like when she steps out? The thought makes him smile, his heart beating faster.
For James, this moment isn't just about seeing her in a wedding dress. It's the moment he sees his future, clearer and more precious than ever.
She stepped out in stunning beauty, the wedding gown flowing softly around her as she moved. The lights in the room shimmered across the dress, making her look almost angelic. James, already dressed in his groom's suit, stood up the moment he saw her. His breath caught for a second. He had imagined this moment so many times, but the real thing was far more beautiful. She walked slowly toward him, a shy smile on her face, her hands gently holding the fabric of her gown. When she reached him, James took her hands, feeling the warmth and the softness he had missed for so long. They looked at each other with joy that words couldn't express. After everything they had faced, the distance, the challenges, the waiting, standing here together felt like a dream finally coming true. She turned slightly so he could see the whole dress, laughing softly as he complimented her again and again. He whispered that she looked perfect, and she blushed with happiness. Side by side, they stood in front of the mirror, seeing themselves as bride and groom for the very first time. A moment they would never forget. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming moments.
Today, we continue following the touching and inspiring love story between Sunluen and CEO James. After walking through a long journey filled with obstacles, misunderstandings, and challenges that tested both their hearts and their courage, they have finally reached a place of peace. A place where they can stand side by side without fear, without hesitation, simply enjoying the happiness they once thought was impossible. And today is a special day for them. The morning is calm, the air is gentle, and both of them have planned something meaningful, taking little Keel Young to the city park. Since she has a day off from school, this becomes a rare and precious opportunity for the three of them to spend real, quality time together, something they have all been longing for. As they walk through the park, watching Keel Young run ahead with innocent laughter, Sunluen feels her heart soften. James, walking beside her, quietly observes the two most important people in his life. In that peaceful moment, he realizes that happiness doesn't always come from grand achievements or big dreams. Sometimes it comes from something as simple as holding hands, sharing smiles, and watching a child feel safe and loved. For the three of them, this day is not just a short trip to the park. It's a reminder of how far they have come, how deeply they care for one another, and how beautiful life can be when spent with the people who matter most.
As they arrived at the city park, a gentle sense of peace washed over them. Cars moved steadily along the nearby street, yet inside the park, everything felt softer. The lake shimmered in a deep blue. Trees stood lush and full, and birds sang brightly from the branches above. The three of them found a quiet patch of soft green grass beneath the shade of a broad old tree. The gentle breeze carried the cool scent of the lake mixed with the earthy fragrance of fresh leaves and flowers. Kyo-jung dropped to the ground first, running her small hands through the blades of grass as if discovering a tiny world of her own. She turned to her mother with eyes full of wonder. the kind of wonder only children can hold so effortlessly. Sunluen settled beside her daughter, smoothing the back of her hair as she looked around the peaceful surroundings. For a moment, she simply breathed, letting the calm of the park seep into her heart. James sat close by, not too near to intrude, yet near enough to show that he was fully present with them. He watched both mother and child with a softness that had grown inside him ever since he met them. After a short silence, Sunluen gathered her courage and spoke, her voice steady but gentle. "Thank you, James. Truly. Today has been wonderful. Two of us, we haven't had moments like this before. Everything in the past was busy, heavy, or rushed. We've never experienced a day where we could sit in a park and feel this kind of peace." James turned slightly toward her, his expression calm and warm. "I understand," he replied softly. "And I want you to have more days like this. Both of you." Her heart tightened at his words, touched by the sincerity she could clearly hear, but also by the quiet care he never tried to overstate. Memories of long, lonely days crossed her mind. Days filled with worry, days when she carried all burdens alone. Sitting here now, she felt something lift, something she thought she would always have to carry. "I used to think that having an okay life was enough, but today I realized maybe we can hope for more. Maybe we can be happy too." James offered a small, reassuring smile. "You deserve that happiness. Both of you always have." Her heart tightened a small moment, a lightness, a warmth that wrapped the two of them in something almost for generations to come. Lying together on the gentle grass, they let the quiet world surround them. Above, small birds perched lightly on the branches, fluttering their wings as if greeting the warm afternoon air. Flowers along the pathway opened softly, their colors blending beautifully beneath the sunlight. From where they rested, the lake shimmered with ripples, and tiny fish swam beneath the clear surface, moving gracefully like little strokes of living paint. Kyojung pointed at everything she saw: birds, flowers, drifting clouds, her voice filled with excitement. And beside her, Sunluen and James simply watched, appreciating how peaceful life could feel in moments like this. After resting for a while, Kyojung jumped to her feet, full of energy again. She took off running across the grass, laughing as the wind rushed past her. Sunluen stood up quickly, pretending to chase after her daughter with exaggerated steps. Kyojung squealed with delight as her mother drew closer, then darted away with her tiny arms swinging. James watched them for a moment, smiling to himself, then joined the game with long, playful strides. His footsteps were heavier than theirs, yet somehow gentle, as if he knew exactly how to make a child feel safe even while running. Kyojung glanced back, saw James coming after her, and burst into louder laughter. Soon the three of them were circling the grassy field, chasing, dodging, and pretending to catch one another. When James finally scooped Kyojung up into his arms, she wrapped her legs around his waist and laughed breathlessly against his shoulder. "Again, again," she said, and James spun her gently before lowering her onto his back so she could ride high above the ground. Sunluen walked beside them, watching the two with a smile she couldn't hide. Seeing James play with Kyojung so naturally warmed her heart in a way she hadn't expected. It felt like a missing piece, quietly sliding into place. They continued through the park paths together. They pointed out flowers blooming along the way, watched squirrels leap between branches, and paused to admire tiny seashells along the shore of the lake. The sunlight filtering through the leaves created moving patches of gold on the ground, and each step felt like another memory being gently added to a day already filled with joy. For those moments, nothing else mattered. No worries, no shadows from the past, just laughter, footsteps, and the feeling of belonging. After their playful walk, the three of them headed toward a small restaurant nearby. It was a simple place, clean, charming, and warmly decorated with soft yellow lights. The moment they stepped inside, the cozy atmosphere wrapped around them like gentle comfort. They chose a table by the window, where sunlight filtered through sheer curtains. Soon, plates of beautifully prepared dishes were brought out. Warm soups, soft bread, grilled meats, fresh vegetables, and desserts decorated with care. The colors alone made Kyojung's eyes widen with amazement. "Wow, it looks so yummy," she whispered, almost afraid the food might disappear if she spoke too loudly. Sunluen watched her daughter with a tender smile, but deep inside, a wave of emotion rose quietly because she knew these meals were something they had never been able to experience before. She turned to James, her voice low. "These dishes, they're new to us. We've never eaten things like this." James met her eyes gently. "Then, today is special, and there will be many more special days." As they ate, Kyojung swung her feet happily under the table, humming between bites. Sunluen tasted each dish slowly, savoring not just the flavor, but the feeling of being cared for, something she had not felt in a long time. James watched them both, quietly grateful to be part of this moment. And from this simple meal came a meaningful lesson. Happiness doesn't always arrive in grand forms. Sometimes it appears in the small things: a shared table, warm food, loving company. When hearts are open, even an ordinary lunch can become a beautiful memory. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next chapter of their journey.